Hello. It's so good to see you all. And so this is our first experiment with some chair yoga online. And I hope that over the weeks to come I'll get better at filming in my little yoga room here. And we'll be able to bring some weekly practices to Somerset House. I really miss you guys, and I'm thinking of you in this time. Hoping that you're filling your time with reaching out to your friends and family and getting as much activity as you can within the constraints that we're all facing right now. So today I decided we would just do a really gentle practice for movement, for getting the lymphatic system moving, and it's basically an equipment-free class, knowing that you might be in your room and you might not have much at your disposal. But I am hoping that you can be creative and look around your house, and if you don't have something, maybe there's something you can reach out to the recreation and to your life enrichment department and see if they can bring you a ball so that you can do some footwork. And I know a lot of you who come to class know that I'm a real proponent of addressing the feet at the very beginning of our practices, so I thought we'd start with that today. And I'm going to show you a couple different things that you could use. So here in my practice, sometimes I use dowel, which is a stick. If you didn't have a stick, you could probably use a broom stick, maybe. So a dowel's great because it's really inexpensive and easy, and it rolls. And so, same idea, you can roll it on the bottom of your foot. So that's one option that you could use. The second option you could use if you had an actual fascia ball. This is a fascia ball that's got little spikes on it, and that works great for rolling on the bottom of the foot. And again, it didn't even have to be that. It could be a tennis ball. This is a lacrosse ball, so it's a little bit denser and tougher. And then for those of you who've come to my class, I was bringing the little squash balls, which are great. That could be something you request Life Enrichment to find some of these. I think they're $4 or $5. So sporting equipment stores usually have them. What's nice about the squash ball is that if you're really sensitive, you have neuropathy in your feet and you're not sure about how much pressure to use, it's super gentle and you can put a lot of pressure into it and it's squishy. So if you have foot injuries, plantar fasciitis, this might be your best option. Other than that, you could get creative in your house. Maybe a tennis ball, dog toy, rolling pin, lots of different things. Just look around your house and see if there's something. You could even use a water bottle frozen in the freezer. You could also use maybe a can of soup, something to roll. So you could get really creative. And this is the times we're living in. We have to be creative and flexible. So there's some options. So let's start with just a little bit of work for your feet, and I'll talk about why that's so important. And so I'm going to use the lacrosse ball today. It's a little bit intenser and denser. And I'm just going to roll up and down the foot a few times. So we'll kind of keep it easy here, but think of this as a great opportunity to get into the feet, grounding into the feet, but also thinking of all the connective tissue that starts in the bottom of your foot is running up the back of the body all the way over the crown of the head and attaching into your eyebrows. So when we work with the bottom of the foot, we can help lengthen that whole fascial line, which can help with tight hamstrings, back pain, muscle cramps, restless legs, circulation. So there's a lot of reasons for this, and also balance. So working on your feet every day, there's one thing you can do. This is the one. If you do wake up with cramps or restless legs in the night, this is also a great option. So what you might want to do is start with just some light rolling to see how that's feeling. And then you might find a spot, maybe somewhere in the middle, where you can kind of rest the ball somewhere in the arch of the foot. If it's not feeling too sensitive, go gentle here. You could take a breath. Exhale, leaning forward a little bit, which will add a little bit of pressure to the foot. So if it feels like it's too much, certainly you can always back off. And coming up. Big sigh. Yeah, good. Well, and then there's one other really important spot on the bottom of the foot. So right now my ball is under the arch of my foot. If I move it a little higher up to just under the knuckles of the foot, this is called the bubbling springs, and it's a great acupressure point, and you can lean into it and lean into the ball or your dowel or your water bottle or your can of soup, whatever you have available, and just moving through the bottom of the foot. And next time, I'm going to talk a little bit about some foot exercises that you can do at home to help strengthen the arches of your foot. And so stay tuned for that. So we'll keep it kind of short today, but moving through the foot here, a few moments, I'm going to switch to my other foot. What I noticed, which I don't know if it's visible on camera or not, is how drastically different the color of my feet are from one foot to the other. So you can notice that the foot that I have worked on is much more of a normal pink color, whereas the foot I hadn't worked on is kind of red and blotchy, which is kind of the natural state of my foot coloring usually. So I'm going to move over to the other foot now and see if that changes color pretty quickly actually, which is kind of interesting. So first starting with rolling through the foot gently up and down, just to check in with how your foot's doing today. So this is also great after a bout of plantar fasciitis, obviously not during, it's super painful, but one of the things that happens in plantar fasciitis is it's an inflammation of the fascia. And connective tissue is an organ. It's your sensory organ, and it's everywhere in your body. And we've only really understood the importance of this since about 2013, is I think when it got the designation as an organ. So your fascia is really important, and all your nerves end in the fascia. All of your lymphatic fluid lives in the connective tissue. Your connective tissue is surrounding every muscle, every bone, every joint. But when fascia gets really tight and stiff from lack of movement, it can get really stiff and tight and dehydrated, and this can cause a lot of discomfort, pain, or inflammation. In the case of the foot, plantar fasciitis sometimes is eased by helping to maintain some movable, flexible fascia within the bottom of the foot. And if you can imagine, our ancestors didn't wear shoes, so they had pretty flexible feet that were moving around a lot. But maybe you wear orthotics, or we wear really stable shoes, which are great for our activities during the day, but they don't give our fascia a lot of opportunity to move and to be flexible. And so that's why the footwork can be really helpful at the beginning or end of your day, or both. So I'll find a spot now, maybe in the arch of the foot, and take a big breath. Big sigh. Leaning into the ball, just to release some tension here in the foot. Coming up. Maybe one more. Good. Yeah, and then as you come out of that last little spot that maybe we could focus on today, bubbling springs, just under your knuckles, you can place the dowel or the ball or whatever you're using today under that area and lean into the ball a little bit. And taking a moment to come out of that. Yeah. So that's some options for using the ball. And next time we get together, I might address using a ball for fascia on the chest area and into the shoulders and the neck. So that could be some homework for you, would be to find some kind of ball, something squishy. I know Life Enrichment has a whole bunch downstairs, so in your equipment closets. So perhaps they can be pulled out and put into use in this time. And so something to think about for next week. So I'm just going to move all my accoutrements out of the camera here, and we'll start with some movement. So just sitting in your chair. Now usually we use balls behind us, or we have cushions or what have you. So I just encourage you to find a way to feel comfortable in whatever seat you're in. You can sit all the way at the back of the chair, or you can sit a little bit forward, which is going to encourage you to have to sit up a little bit taller. Usually though, about 3 minutes in, people will start to do this. So when you feel like your body starts to want to do this, instead of that, maybe you can put the hands on the thighs, lean forward, lift your heels just to give your back a little stretch here, and use that as an opportunity to stretch your back. Or if you prefer, you could sit all the way back in your chair, if that's more preferable to you. So coming to a comfortable position, we're just going to start with the shoulders. Shoulders lifting up and down. And you might want to try that 3 times. You might even close your eyes. Just a couple sigh breaths. Maybe one more. Good. And at any time in this practice, especially since you might be in your room on your own, you might feel comfortable closing your eyes and letting my audio guide you, which is great. It's a great way to connect into your inner body and really connect into how you're feeling inside rather than sort of what I'm doing or what it looks like in the mirror or what have you. So I'm going to take a moment to address the shoulders a little bit here. And we're going to start with just seeing about what the shoulder does in its range of motion. So the shoulder can go up towards the ears, back towards the back of your chair, down towards your sit bones, and forward. So if we put those all together, you would have a nice backwards moving circle. So it's moving a little forward and up and back and down. And then once you have that movement, you might close your eyes to take a moment to notice, how does this movement feel inside your body? So sometimes there's clicky, clunky bits, which is fine, but you might be curious about a smaller range of motion. So if there's a lot of clunky, clicky bits as you move, I find that if I find a smaller range of motion, fascia starts to relax, and it might be more beneficial to do less. So there I am doing some small, gentle movements of the shoulders up, back, and down. Good. I'm going to try one more. Up, back, and down. Good. And I'm going to bring the elbows close, palms up. Great position just to remind our shoulder blades where they ultimately want to be, which is sliding down and under. And then it'll warm up for the rotator cuff. So you're just allowing the hands to move a little out and in. They might cross over each other. You might alternate which hand crosses on top. Just to warm up the shoulder, this external rotation of your shoulder. You'll notice you will only be able to go so far. And if you have an injury in your shoulder, there might be some larger limitations in your movement, which is fine. It's really just about being curious and kind and moving in ways that is not aggravating your current conditions in any way. Which might mean leaving something out, might mean doing less, might mean taking breaks. So I encourage you to do that through the practice. Good. Great. All right, so from here, I'm going to come back to this first position. I thought we could start with just the movement of the spine, since that's such an important thing to address. And really the spine is that main channel. In yoga, it's called the Sushumna, this main energy channel that moves information from the body to the brain and the brain to the body. And there's 72,000 nerve channels moving through this channel. So the spinal movements are encouraging some mobility and fluidity around the spine within a range of motion that is not aggravating or forced in any way. So if I'm just sitting at the edge of the chair and I sit up tall as I can be, maybe looking just slightly up. Keep in mind that the back of the neck is still nice and open. I'm not overextending my neck. That's really important. So I'm sitting up nice and tall. Good. And then if I just go ahead and slouch, which we all do, noticing where you end up on your sit bones. So just try that a few times, sitting up tall and then sitting small. You might hear the dog outside barking. It's not our dog, it's the neighbor's dog. Sitting up tall and small. Good. Now we'll add some movement with the arms. So as I sit up tall, bring the hands towards my hips. So the spine is extending here into its longest length. And then as I sit small and kind of lean back on the sit bones, chin towards my chest, hands might slide towards the knees. And then sliding the hands back up, take a breath. Exhale, sliding the hands forward, leaning back, rounding the back body, chin towards your chest. And then you might try two more. Maybe even closing the eyes and just visualizing the movement of your spine as you move in this way. Yeah, this is the last time. Good. All right, so a little more active version of that. We're going to bring the hands to the heart center. This time I'm going to bring the hands out to the side, sitting up tall. And on the exhales, you push forward. You could lean back, chin to chest. Think of a cat stretching. So as I sit up, spine lengthens, chest opens. Exhale, pushing forward, rounding the spine, chin towards your chest. Good. Sitting up. And pushing forward, leaning back, chin towards your chest. Try one more. Good. Fall. Good. So taking a moment when you're ready to come back to center. All right, so we're going to try a little twisting motion. So twists are wonderful for keeping our spine movable and flexible. Again, we're only moving within a range of motion that's feeling comfortable for you to move in without pain. So if I keep my hands on my knees and I choose one hand to slide towards my hip and turn, that's it. There's a very gentle, natural twist. And I can try the other side, sliding the hand towards the hip, maybe gently turning. Now if I added breathing, you could inhale the center, exhale as you gently turn, inhale the center, and exhale as you gently turn. You try one or two more of those, knowing that you can choose to stop and take a break at any time. You try one more on the other side. They're just warming up the spine. Good. Okay. Wonderful. Good. A little shoulder roll here anytime you need to, or shrug. All right. So the next twist, we touched on this a few weeks ago when I was teaching in-house, and I thought I could review that with everybody because it's really interesting how the shoulder connects to the head and the neck in our movements. So this twist, if I take one hand, fingertips to the sternum, the opposite hand is going to go to the opposite thigh. As I extend the arm out to the side, if I keep my head where it is and I try to extend the arm back as far as it will go, it's about as far as my arm will go comfortably without feeling strain. It might be less for you, might be more. And then come back. Now, look at the difference, and maybe you want to try it with me if I follow the arm behind me. So as I extend the arm out, I'm going to turn to look at the arm, take a breath. And as the arm goes behind me, I'm going to follow it with my head. And so much more range of motion. And then come back. Elbow, fingertips to sternum, elbow relaxes and down. So we'll try the other side. First to see, again, if any shoulder just wants a timeout for this, of course you can leave anything out that's just not suiting you today. But as I take my arm out to the side, have their hand on the crossing over to the opposite thigh. If I just allow my arm to go behind me without my head following, just noticing that there is quite a limitation. That's about as far as I can go without feeling any strain here. But if I turn to look at my hand and then take a breath and follow, so much more range. So much more range. And down. Good. So we've done some extension and flexion of the spine, a little twisting of the spine. Let's try a little side bend. So a lot of you know that I've called this the John Wayne side stretch. So I'm going to widen the feet a little bit so I have a bit of a V-like angle with the legs, something comfortable. A lot of times it is easier to be a little bit forward on the chair. Just make sure you're comfortable and your chair is sturdy. So I'm going to lean over to one side. So I'm going to sit up tall first. I'm just going to see if it's comfortable for me to lean over and place one arm on my thigh. So I'm getting a little side stretch on the other side. Two options with the other arm. One is it could just stay here. It could stay here, it could stay here. Second option, it could slice around. You could follow it with your eyes and follow it all the way around, adding a little extra side stretch into the side of the body and back around. The other option, which sometimes shoulders just don't want to do, would be up and over. And that might be a nice option for you today, and it might not be. So a great opportunity to be curious here today with what movements feel good. Maybe the slicing arm. And what movements don't feel good. And then down. And as you come up, shoulder roll. Yeah. Good. And then we're going to move into the other side. So I'm going to sit up tall, leaning over. I'm already feeling that side stretch. If the forearm on the thigh is too much, it could be the hand. So that would be smaller side bend. And then this one. So then the other arm might come around. I might follow it around. Follow it back. That's one option. Other option would be to follow the arm up and over. Or keep the head stable if you choose. Or around and back. Good. Wonderful. As you come up, a couple more shoulder rolls. I'm going to keep my feet a little wide for this one. And this is a nice stretch for the back. So I'm going to take both hands to one leg. You choose which one you'd like to start with. 3 times. Sliding your hands down the leg as far as you'll go comfortably. And back up again. You might even close your eyes here so you can just really focus on how you're feeling internally. Maybe one last time. Good. Wonderful. And then doing the other side. Hands turn, body gently turns to that side. Sliding down. It's as if you're pulling up your socks. And only going as far as you feel comfortable. Noticing that my head is not dropping down. So helpful to keep the head in line with the heart so you don't get dizzy. Is to just keep the head from dropping down. Now, good. And as you bring your feet back together. So we're going to do the rocking chair, which is one of my favorite movements for giving the back a little stretch and getting a little core engagement in the abdominals. And so hands on the thighs, avoid your knee, but your thighs are strong and your leg bone is the biggest, strongest bone in your body. So you can press with your palms into the leg bones, just not the knee joint itself. So I can press into the legs with my hands, take a breath, and then I'm going to lean forward. The heels will lift as I come forward. And that will add that extra stretch for your back. And then pressing into the thighs as I slowly unhinge up and lean back. Couple options. I'm going to bring my chin towards my chest. And as I lean back, the toes might lift. So I'm really just moving like a rocking chair. Rocking forward, coming up, and then rocking back, leaning back. Just try that one more time. And feel free to do this anytime throughout the practice if it feels good and you want to take a break. Last time. Good. Good. So let's try the sort of a resting pose. And someone in my class calls it the thinker pose, which is great. But really it's a great place to address the neck. And so with the neck, I always encourage people, gentle, only something that feels manageable. You know, the neck is it has a whole lot of range of motion. And what we want to avoid is overextending or big, large movements. They're just not very effective. But for this stretch, all I'm going to do is going to keep my feet flat. I'm just going to see if I can bring my forearms to my thighs and lace my fingers together. So in this position here, I could look down towards the floor. And then if it felt all right here for my neck, I just start gently drawing my chin in towards my chest. So I'm already feeling the back of my neck already. And then from here, there might be a very small little bit of movement with the chin moving over to one side. So now I'm feeling quite a lot of sensation and stretch on that opposite side. And then through the center and to the other side. Just try that one more time. Or you could just stay here with your head at center and take some breaths. Good. with your hands on your thighs as you come up. Good. Couple shoulder rolls. All right. Good. So again, when we're in a class setting and I'm in the room with people, I can respond to the challenges that I might see or the limitations that might come up for people. Whereas here in this situation where I'm coming to you in your living room, it's incumbent on you to just check in and know that, it might be that one pose is just not for you today. Could be not today, could be never, and it could be just not now. So I always remind people of that as we move into some of the lower body work with the hips and the knees. So for the next movement, I'm going to lift up one heel and I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to lean forward, lace my hands underneath my thigh bone. And as I lean back, I'm going to bring the leg with me. So I'm really using my arms to hold the leg up. My leg is relaxed and heavy. And then I might just add a little bit of movement. See what that feels like for the hip joint. Maybe some circles. Good. And then I might even do a little movement with the foot. Pointing, flexing, circles. And we'll add on to this next week. Taking a big breath. Might curl in and bring my nose towards the knee a little bit. And then bring the foot back to the floor. And I'm going to try the other side and see how that feels. If this is just out for you, you can just leave it out. You can fast forward through this. That's a nice thing with electronic practices or video practices. I'm going to lean back, bring the leg with me, holding the leg. Yeah, you can do some circles, some pointing, flexing. Okay, some little movements. You could even do circles with the leg. It's great for the hip. Warm up for the hip joint. As I said, we'll talk about the hip joint a little bit more next practice. Good. And then a little nose to knee. Deep breath in. And nose to knee. Good. That's it. Very good. Okay, so let's talk about the hamstrings, back of the leg. We've already done a little bit of work with the hamstrings just by working the fascia in the foot. And so this will just add in a little bit more work for the fascia or the back line. So back line of fascia, bottom of the foot, Achilles, calf muscle, hamstrings, all the way up the back body and over the crown of the head. So I'm going to stretch out one foot. As soon as I pull the toes back towards me, I'm feeling that back line, that lengthening through the back of the leg, that little bit of stretch. This could be enough. If it's not and you want to go further, hands on the other leg, the leg that's not extended, on the thigh, avoid the knee, big breath. And you could hinge forward. You can kind of support yourself with your hands on that thigh. And that might give you a little extra stretch here. Take a big breath. Good. Slowly coming up. As you bring the foot in, let's see about the other leg. Stretch the leg out, pointing and flexing. Some circles, maybe, just to see how that's feeling. And then pull the toes back towards you. So important to keep that back line long. And then only if you feel you're comfortable going forward, you could lean forward, hands supporting you on the other leg. And as you lean forward, taking 2 breaths. Good. Pressing into the thigh as you come up. Yeah, good. And then a couple more shoulder rolls. And a big shoulder shrug. Let's try one more. All right, so we're going to take one hand and hold on to the chair. So we're going to do a little balance exercise here, adding in another little side bend. So I'm going to extend one arm and I'm going to follow it. I'm going to lean and reach, and I'm holding the chair so I don't fall out of the chair. I'm going to reach like I'm reaching for the parking button. I can't quite reach it. I'm going to follow the arm up, back to center, and down. Try it 2 more times. On the third one, we'll add a side bend. Reaching, following it up, and down. That's it. Good. Last time we're going to add a little side bend to the other side. So this time as I reach the arm up, might go a little over to the other side a little bit, trying to keep both sit bones rooted on the seat. And then the arm that's up can come to the chair, and then the other arm can come out to the side. So I'm going to follow the arm. I'm going to reach like I'm reaching for a button. Follow the arm up and back down. So reaching, leaning. There is a weight shift here into that one sit bone a little bit more than the other. Noticing that your sit bones come more into even weightedness as you come back to center. And the last one will add the side bend to the other side. Reaching up and maybe a little over. Just a little bit. If anything feels forced or strained or painful, then again, I encourage you to leave it out for today. Could be not today. All right. Good. So we've really warmed up the spine now. So I thought we could do a little bit of work for the lymphatic system, which really involves movement of the upper body. And so I thought we could do a little movement here to get things going. And so I'm going to take my arms and I'm going to scoop them forward, out, and up, and down. So I'm going to breathe in and out with a So when breathing in 3 small sniffs on the breath in and a ha. This is optional. As long as you're breathing in a comfortable pattern for yourself, totally fine. But notice that my breath in, this is sort of a gentle version of the breath of joy. And breathing in, sniff, 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 ha. So it's sniff, ha, ha, ha. 2 more. One more. Good. Then I'm just going to take a couple of those. The arms swing. One more. Good. And just let the arms relax. All right, so let's do a few more movements to open up the chest a little bit more. So this movement is the arms open and close, and then they're going to go a little bit up and down. And we'll sort of build on these sequences over time. Open, close, up, and down. You could add a little bit of spinal movement as you open, looking up a little bit, close, bringing the chin in, looking forward as you move up and down. So I'm going to do that 2 more times. Open, close, up, and down. Good. Now if your hands lace together comfortably, you could do so, stretching them out in front of you. If this does not feel comfortable, you could just do so. I'm going to lean back a little bit. So now I'm stretching the back body once again. And then as I come up, for some people the arms might come up. For some people, you might just have them here. You might even just unlace the arms and bring them down. So again, there's all these options. If the arms go up, great. If they don't, that's okay too. And then bringing the arms down, however they want to move. So just knowing that whatever comfortable for you is just fine. All right, so the next movement is to explore the shoulder a little bit more. Hands out to the sides, curling the fingers in and the thumbs, curling the hand into the shoulder, letting the elbows float up wherever they go. They might not go this far. That's okay. And then extending the arms out. And then furling the fingers in and the hand into the shoulder, and then the elbows down and unfurling. Try it one more time. Furl the fingers in, hands into the shoulder, elbows floating up, arms extend, floating the fingers in, hand into the shoulder, elbows come down, arms come out. Good. Now we're going to stay with the hands curling into the shoulder, and then just see if the elbows can do some circles forward. They could be really small. And then try the other direction. So really these movements are really opportunity to shift our awareness from the thinking mind into our body and into the present moment of how we're feeling in this moment. So if something's really aggravating, take a smaller movement. Okay, good, circles. All right, so we're going to move into a little warm up for the shoulder, or really activation for all the muscles in the back body and the stretch for them. So the elbows pull back towards each other as I look forward. And as the elbows come forward towards each other, I'm going to bring my chin to my chest. Sitting up. Exhale, rounding the elbows together. Just one more. And back. Good. Wonderful. Wonderful. And as your elbows float down and your hands are out to the sides, a little moment to rotate the hand around and then open. Just try that a few times, noticing how the shoulder rolls forward as the hand rolls forward, and then the shoulder opens and the chest opens as you gently pull the thumbs back. So a really subtle thing you remember that you can do is just pull the thumbs back to get the chest to open. Good. Wonderful. Now once the chest is open here, you can bring your arms back in. And let's just explore the shoulder a little bit more. So I'm going to bring my index and thumb together, just as if I was making a smile with my hands. Now for different shoulders, this could mean different things. If there was an injury to the rotator cuff, often there'll be limitation. So your movement might be that big. Just notice that my hand, wrist, elbow, shoulder, they're all moving together here. So a lot of times I'll see people do this and they're trying to stabilize one part of the body. But if I allow, as the palms start to face each other, the elbows will float out to the side, the shoulder will externally rotate a little bit. And so these are really fascial repair movements. And so exploring where's the limit with your range within a level of comfort for you is what's the most important. Not the size or what it looks like, more what it feels like. That's it. You can try one more. Okay, so this is sort of lower rotation of the shoulder here, lower abduction. Now if I turn my palms to face my legs and let the elbows be heavy, maybe the hands can slide up a little bit higher. So my hands are about eye level or face level. Palms are facing down. Elbows are heavy, like there's fishing weights on them so that they're feeling heavy. And then it's just a rainbow. So there you have the upward rotation of the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand. Noticing how they work together here. And if I was to continue on all the way to the bottom, I'd be back at the smile. So we could think of this like making an Easter egg, brackets around a sentence. They don't have to touch at the top or the bottom. They could be really large motions, or similarly, they could be really small. You still have the same function happening, whether it's big or small. And your comfort in your shoulder will determine that. There we go. Good, maybe one more. Wonderful, I'm taking a break. Good, wonderful. So we've done a lot of gentle movement today for the shoulders, a bit of spinal movements, and some stretches, some fascia work. And I just wanted to address the breath, because your breathing is with you every day of your life. And on average, the average human breathes in and out about 20,000 times a day, maybe even more, which is really astounding. And it's very common that in times of stress or when we're anxious that we hold our breath, or we start breathing really shallow in the upper chest, which will keep you alive, absolutely. But if we want to address our nervous system and get into that part of the nervous system that can help us calm down, can help our parasympathetic nervous system kick in, which is the part of the nervous system that helps our heartbeat slow down and the blood pressure lower and the inflammation go down, and it helps really calm. It's the calming state in the body. Then we want to work with slow, deep breathing, keeping in mind that at any time, if any breathing practice makes you feel uneasy, uncomfortable, just watching your breath. Just watching your breath will be a wonderful way to kind of bring you into this present moment. Sometimes within 3 to 5 slow, deep breaths, we can start to help manage that balance between those two parts of the nervous system, the stress and the relaxation response. And we kind of want them to be at play at all times and be resilient. And in times of stress, it's a great opportunity to help build resilience by nourishing that part of the nervous system that keeps us calm. So the main kind of breathing that we can do to encourage the nervous system to calm down, there's 2 things we could do. One is very slow exhalation, allowing the exhalation to be slightly longer than the inhale. Could be in the nose, out the nose, could be in the nose, out the mouth. Sometimes in the nose, out the mouth is easier when people are starting out. So that could be as simple as breathing in and very slowly out the mouth. Let's try it 2 more times. Noticing how the body softens as you exhale and how it expands as you inhale. Good. Now the second thing that we can do. So at any time in your day, maybe in the morning, maybe at lunch, maybe after your dinner, or at any time when you're feeling a little uneasy or a little overwhelmed, just taking 3 to 5 mindful breaths. That is often enough to really help people get back into their bodies and allow that runaway brain to come back into the present moment. So the breath is an anchor, and it's always here for you, anytime. So the last way that I'd like to address today a little bit is belly breathing, which for some people is not easy, depending on a whole host of reasons. And it's also a lot easier for people when they're lying down. So this might be something that you do when you're lying in bed and you're comfortable, you're in your easy boy watching TV in the evening, or lying in the sun to get a little nap in the afternoon. So it's belly breathing. And sometimes people are shocked when I encourage them to let their belly expand out as you breathe in and gather as you breathe out. Now, as children, this is all how we breathe. But over time, with stress and lots of other factors that come into it, we often constrict in the abdominals and we end up being just chest breathers. That kind of shallow upper chest breath, which, as I mentioned, it will keep you alive, absolutely. But when we work with the lower breathing, we're going to start to nourish the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, and start to access the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that part of the nervous system that helps us digest our food, repair, heal from injuries or illnesses, and helps with inflammation in the body. So it's really that homeostasis that we're looking for through the breath. So for this, you might get really comfortable and sit back in your chair. That might be the most comfortable, so you feel comfy. This is not the most comfortable chair that I'm in. Get comfortable. Even if you were in a really comfy chair, you could even put your feet up or put the lazy boy back. Hands on your belly. And then just allowing the belly to expand out as you breathe in. On the exhale, slowly it deflates. Just trying 4 more of those. So 5 in total. Inhale, let your belly relax outwards into your hands. Exhale, encourage the belly to softly sink back towards your spine. Try that 3 more times. So when we breathe in, we're expanding inner body. On the exhale, we're letting go of stress, of tension, of breath. One last time. Good. Wonderful. So I thought today, being our first sort of trial class on the computer on YouTube, that I introduce some of the bowls I don't get to bring to our class. I know I bring quite a few, but some, as you can see behind me, are huge and sort of impossible to move. So I thought that I could show you a little bit about how the sound works and see if you enjoy this little sound demonstration. Now, keeping in mind that for hundreds of thousands of years, the use of the voice has been a wonderful tool. Humming, singing, and gargling are all three great ways to use your voice, to use the vocal cords, stimulating a nice response in the body, vibration through the body. So we have humming. And I can kind of feel that vibrating in my chest and my throat, even in my head area. And it's a great way to help manage pain, help to slow down the breathing practice, and encourage nasal breathing. So the humming breath is wonderful. And maybe singing. Singing is also great for that. And gargling. So all three of these things stimulate the vagus nerve in the throat. And the vagus nerve runs all throughout your body, starts in the base of the brain. It's the wandering nerve. It's in the 10th cranial nerve, and it travels all the way through, well, it nervinates most of the organs in the body, and it ends in the pelvic floor, which is why belly breathing can be so nourishing for the nervous system. When the vagus nerve is stimulated, it sends the message back to the brain for the body to relax. So it's a real key figure or a major nerve involved in helping our bodies heal and rest and relax and come out of the stress response, which we need more than ever at this time. So the sound from the bowls, the reason I mention this is that sound vibration has a great effect on our bodies as well. But know that because this is on a camera and you're not in the room with me, the vibration and the feeling that you might get from the Tibetan bowls or the singing bowls might be different because you're not in the room with me. I certainly wish you were. But I thought I'd give you the opportunity today to just see how all the different sounds work together and separately and how they work as singing bowls. So I have the large one over here, which I can't pick up. It's huge. This is the one that lives in my yoga room. And it's large, so different mallets will make different sounds. So I'll just kind of show you how this one works. This one doesn't necessarily do a lot of singing. It's really just for ringing. And so it's got a really big mallet. You can see this one's quite huge. And you really just strike it. And I can actually feel the floor vibrating when I do that. Slightly smaller mallet, a little bit of a denser material. Kind of just keep going. Is this beautiful low sound in the background? I'll get a few more going here. Kind of complement each other. I don't know how the sound is for you guys. We'll have to find out how this is after. So now I'm going to show you how they sing. I'm going to use the larger mallet for this. And I'm going to start with this guy here. So keeping in mind that if I had a whole bunch of water and I put it in the bowl and then I start making the sound, the water in the bowl is going to start to vibrate. And so the idea is that sound, whether you're making it yourself, like humming and singing, gargling, or using the sound bowl, you're moving energy through the body. It moves through those fascial layers. So it's super helpful to sing in the shower. And so you can see that it's already vibrating. And then I'm going to add the sound. I'm going to add vibration. Taking a couple big breaths. As long as I don't touch the edges of this one, it'll probably still keep humming. A lot of you will know this bowl that I bring often to class. So for the last part of our class, I thought that's sort of an introduction to the sound that we could finish just kind of sitting back, and I'm going to guide you through a gentle seated relaxation. And so for this, you can keep your eyes open, or you might even close your eyes. And I'm going to take you through a little guided relaxation through the body, a little body scan, and then finish with a little poem by Daniel Folds that I often read. And then we'll add on to this for next week. So get comfortable in your chair. You might sit all the way back in your chair. You might put a pillow behind you, however you'd like to be here. And we're going to try 3 tension releases, which is a shoulder shrug, a little bit of tension, and then a sigh to let everything go. So it looks like this. And just get comfortable, leaning back. A nice position that you might take would be one hand palm up, and then the other hand in that palm with the thumbs touching. And that's an option. You can do something different. And if you can hear me all right, you could close your eyes. And then that's allowing all the muscles of the face to relax and soften. Inviting a little bit of space between your back teeth so your jaw can soften. And the eyes can sink back into the skull. And the eyelids can relax. Starting to notice the weight of your body supported by your seat. Just noticing the support beneath you. And starting to notice the temperature of the room on your skin. Noticing the breath as it comes in and out. And then noticing the sounds around you. Notice the furthest sound that you can hear. All the small ambient sounds that you might hear in your room, outside the room. Becoming the gentle observer of your own mind as you see the thoughts, or you notice the thinking mind come up with all the things that it likes to do. Thinking, planning, worrying, judging, list making. Coming back to something here in the room right now. Your breath, the temperature of the room, the support beneath your body, the sounds that you can hear. You might even take your hands for the last moment to your heart center. Connecting into your heart. And in this time where we're all feeling vulnerable, it's important to honor our feelings. And it's important to also remind yourself every day and every moment of being here present in your body. So I wanted to share a poem with you that I read often, and this one's called Walk Slowly, and it's by a poet named Dana Faulds. Her last name is spelled Faulds, if you're curious. It only takes a reminder to breathe and a moment to be still. And just like that, something in me settles, softens, and makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I catch myself charging forward without even knowing where I'm going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe, to be, and to walk slowly into the mystery. So thank you so much for trying this practice today. Even if you did three things, 3 movements, worked on your feet, took a couple deep breaths, it all counts. These small little things we do, these small little bits of self-care to help balance and nourish the nervous system in this time of great difficulty and stress for everybody. Just know I'm thinking of you all. And in the weeks to come, hopefully I'll get more refined in my skills here in front of the camera. And I'm excited to bring you more practices, just knowing that you can just pick and choose the things that you like to do, leave out the things that don't work for you. And your homework is to find yourself something to work on your feet with, whether it's a tennis ball, squash ball, squishy ball. If you don't have one, reach out to Life Enrichment and see if they can get something for you. And I'm sure they're more than happy to help find you some tools to use in your suite. So thank you so much for coming and practicing with me. I miss you all, and I hope to see you very soon. Namaste.